Good morning, Spain. How lovely to have you with us once again. Today we'll be looking at how to get legal aid in Spain. Why putting your shopping in the car could cost you an extra €200. The longing for longevity, is it just a trend? We'll be squatting, fetching, cooking, travelling, looking at some top-selling best books. We'll also be talking about step parenting and so much more. Stay tuned, here we go.
Casio, playing on my heart just like a Casio, breaking it apart so you can let it go. Oh, wait another year, that's not original. I'm cynical, alright, let's go now. When all your dreams are gone and you're still holding on, you waited for too long. I know, you know, so play it cool. I just want the keys back to my vehicle. They're just gonna tell you that I wasn't real. And I just wanna tell you this is how I feel. I know you feel, I know you feel it. When all your dreams are gone.
Good morning, Spain. Good morning, Spain. Good morning, girls.
Good morning.
This morning we're going to start off the show talking about squatting. Doesn't sound very elegant, but if done in the right way, not only can it be elegant-ish, but it's very good for us, isn't it? To strengthen up our leg muscles, and important to have muscles.
Exactly. And I think that's it. Like, I think one thing that we really wanted to do was just kind of go back to the basics, because so many of us, I think, like, we do put quite a lot of stress on ourselves to be like, oh my God, we've got to be the best at this, or we've got to do this, we've got to do this. But it's just like, right, let's strip it back and let's just make it fun, simple, and I guess kind of like achievable as well. So that's what we did with our lovely Pedro the other day.
It is. I've been, as you know, regular viewers, that I've been starting to work out and try and get some muscle. The older we get, you need muscles. I want to pick up my grandkids, and therefore I have to train because they're getting quite heavy. But you do a lot of exercise. However, in Pilates, as with Pedro, the personal trainer, you started going back to some basics because you realise you pick up bad habits along the way. And our posture is fundamental, not just for being fit, but not causing ourselves injury while we're trying to get fit.
I think that's what it is as well, because as you say, I think like we do pick up so many habits, you know, even with driving or with anything we do. And it was just literally like, we just wanted to strip it completely back to be like, right, let's think about why we're doing this, what we're doing. So we thought that we would do the squat, which a lot of people do wrong as well. Like, because he was saying to us, wasn't he, that he can be in the gym sometimes, and he's literally like saying like, oh, your footwork, oh God, you're not like, you know, you haven't got your arms in the right place. So we thought, let's just do something really simple that everyone does and just strip it back. So we actually got the chair, didn't we? So we used the chair and we just put our hands on the chair and we just started going up and down, but like sticking, so like tilting our pelvis and just, sorry, I'm just gonna stand up and show everyone. Yeah. So we literally just stuck our bum out with our legs.
Sideways so people can, there you go.
So with, sorry, Nicole.
That's okay, it's a very pretty bottom. It's a pretty, if anyone's bum's gonna be in my face, I'm gonna be short.
Yes, we had to choose.
Exactly, we had to choose.
Yeah. So literally we just like put our legs like kind of shoulder width apart, and we just tilt our bum out, our arms up in the air, and we literally keep our head straight, and we just go down with our bum out. So all the way down, all the way up. So it's literally, we're just doing something really, really simple. As I say, tilting our pelvis, arms up, down, and then up. And we were using the chair where we would sit, like just touch the chair and then come up. Touch the chair, come up. So just like really simple, because some people do get quite scared with the squat, because, you know, you might have some weight on and you kind of think, oh my God, what if I fall? So he was just like, right, let's just start with the chair. You touch the chair, you come up, you touch that. And it can be something as simple as like 5 times.
It shows you that you can do anything at home. Do you know what I mean? You don't need weights, you can use bottles of water. If you're not got stability, hold on to a chair. And then the other thing of when you're going to sit down, before you just sit down and plonk, why don't you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then sit down? So you've got a few little squats in without doing anything and without taking the risk, isn't it?
Exactly.
And with the squat, it's really easy to do wrong, isn't it? Because it's that, even though it's somewhat basic, as you say, if you're not used to doing it or you haven't done it for a while, just doing that movement even once, you
Yeah.
can go, oh, I can feel that.
Yeah.
So it's easy to stand in a slightly different position to make it slightly easier so it doesn't hurt so much.
Exactly.
But then you're not really doing it properly. If you're feeling it, you know that you're working those muscles.
Yeah.
So it's easy when you're doing these little exercises to adjust your position slightly or not go down as far as you should. You think, oh yeah, I could do 100 of these, no problem. But you're not really doing it right.
Exactly. Yes, a lot of that goes on when I'm doing these things, and Petra's like, "There's no pain, okay," and then there's no gain. There is no way you're doing it right. And even you, as I say, proficient with your Pilates, if you're not concentrating, or you can pick up the bad habits. And I think sometimes people who do work out a lot, or people like me who are just beginning to work out, you know, obviously, like even squatting down to tie a shoelace.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? How many times you can do that to build up those muscles, I think is very beneficial.
And I think that's what we want. Sorry, Dal, like just going on what you were saying is that so many people, they just want it for their day to day. You know, if you're picking the kids up or, you know, spending time with the grandchild, like children, you want to be able to be like, do you know what? I can do that. Like I haven't got to be scared.
So you can do the stairs as well, carry the shopping with the stairs. But I was thinking, you know, breathing is so important, not just to, you know, maybe get you through that next stage where it's maybe hurting and then you do a different movement to avoid it, and helps with the focus as well. You know, it helps you continue the exercise so much longer. And then I guess that's where you grade it. You go from the simple stance. Did you have to hold the core in as well? Was that the instruction as well?
So
with the stance you were in?
Do you know what, as you say, so it's like, keep your core nice and contacted. Contacted
with your contracted.
And then like kind of like putting your weight into your heels, and then that's why I think
and like you pushing
did.
your, that was the thing Lisa did in the beginning. Push your feet through the floor. I beg your pardon. But what it really I understand is that you like stand solidly and you kind of like put effort on the outsides of your feet and legs to hold yourself firm. And I think after
really
two cesareans, I don't really feel my core. I know it's there, so it's like
need to look at it.
It's just like, and it's like hold your tummy. It's like, why? How? But that's it. There's lots of different levels of starting, like from zero, like myself, or even you that are proficient in working out and doing things, but the basics, getting that right stance, breathing.
Yeah, I just think that helps staying in it, doesn't it? Maybe that's what I always found with Pilates is like when I was really doing those deep, heavy breaths and really focusing on when I'm exhaling and when I'm inhaling along with the movement. Obviously, the exercise was much more effective, but then I was in it. You know.
Which is that you exhale on the hard part, is that right? You breathe in on the easy bit and exhale.
Yeah, when you're making the effort is when you push out with a
so it helps.
I hold my breath most of the time, just constantly.
Get me through this. Or the shallow breathing as well. And I think it helps with the core as well, doesn't it? When you're really breathing and you're breathing out so far that you just feel it slowly pushing down right into that area. So
well, they do say, isn't it, like your breath is actually what gets you through a lot of the movements because like controlling it and like getting your mind to train into it.
It does if you really can get into the breath, it does help.
And you see sports players, professionals, you know, the tennis when they make the noise. It's all the same thing when they're putting the effort in. They make the noise because it helps. They're not doing it for a laugh. You know, there's a reason behind it.
We'll have to start doing that in Pilates.
Well, do you know what? It was really interesting actually as well, because even Pedro was saying, so to kind of help us focus on the movement. So he was like, pick like a line. Like and stand with your legs like equally like over the line, hip widths apart, and as you say, like imagine you're pressing that line apart, so you're really like pushing into the edges of your feet, so when you go down and you have to control that movement, and honestly, like without any weight, you can feel it in the back of your muscles, your legs, your feet, everywhere. So it was so interesting. But I think like even going back to what we were saying on I think last week's show is like don't set yourself like too much of a challenge, because as you say, like 9 times out of 10 you probably won't kind of keep to that. So that's why like just do the start like on a chair, just like going up and down, get the fluid of like the movement first, or even just like standing over the line and just going up and down. And he was saying like if you do that, like say you do that 5 times a day and you do 10 times each, that's 50 squats that you've done just there.
I'm already way behind.
Exactly, when you're waiting for a lift in the queue of the shopping, go for it. But look at the stance. So let's take that for our movement of the month.
Okay.
Let's start with that one.
Squatting.
And let us know how you get on. Please do drop us a line. Send us videos of your squatting at home, on chairs, on stairs. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
When you think of car or motorbike insurance, think Linea Directa. When you most need your insurance company, Linea Directa are there for you. With tow trucks, courtesy car, mechanics, legal advice, even overnight stay in a hotel if you need it. There's a whole department dedicated to us Brits with people who speak English there to help us. If you're looking for an insurance policy that really takes all your needs into consideration whilst you're driving in Spain, then Linea Directa really is the company for you. Why don't you give them a call? 952 14 78 34 or contact them online.
Good morning, Spain. Today I'm going to have a look at blending step families, and for many of us when we move to Spain, unfortunately pressures happen and sometimes families split up or they come with step families. So we're going to have a look at how we can blend this together in a healthy way and help the kids through this transition.
Amazing, actually. I think a lot of people don't think, not selfishly, but just don't think about the children when they're in situations, because you're so busy just dealing with the situation yourself. We expect children to just just follow along. And I saw with my own kids, very, very young, they had very clear opinions, personalities, and I worked a lot with children, and I think we overlook how involved maybe they should be in our thought processes. And
Definitely.
Which is mental, sorry.
Yeah.
What? We overlook the kids. Like, what?
a lot
That
of
should be the
families,
priority.
you don't, but a lot of families don't think that them, for example, meeting somebody new, getting together with them, and the kids 7 or 8, it could be maybe the parent, the mother or the father died.
Yeah.
And they're not taking into consideration that kids maybe not want to call them mum or dad. Do you know what I mean? That they have their own reasoning.
The Mother's
Suppose
Days
suppose
and
it's
the Father's
not in your
Days.
case.
It's the age of the kids, isn't it, as well? I think when they're young, well, I don't know. Like, you phone me,
very aware.
I'm
No,
kind of going,
it's not-
well, if they're young,
It's alien
that's
to you, and that's really good. Like, I came from a broken family, and I think they had the impression like kids are made of strong stuff. You know that thing. Like they'll figure it out. I figured this out in my life, and they're just not looking at for the signs.
I think sometimes what happens is, so if you have a new partner and you've got kids and you want to introduce them, or whichever way around it is, you have an ideal in your head, and often reality doesn't match up to it because the kids can be resistant or not playing the game how you envisaged it. And then for some people, I know that threatens the new relationship because it causes friction there. So it's like, right, you have to do as I say and just accept this, because there's a fear there that the other person's going to get annoyed and go, do you know what, you got too much baggage, you're too many problems, I'm leaving. Or there's a frustration, I'm really in love with this person, we're having a great relationship, but at home, there's all this friction and it's you. So parents do the blame game. And I think you're right, we expect way too much of kids in all aspects. And I think people forget, you chose the new partner, your child didn't.
Yeah.
So, and you've spent time building that, hopefully spent time building that relationship. Some people, a couple of days and they've moved someone in.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. Why don't you just take your time?
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely should.
Some people can't be on their own.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That they need that person, and it's very complicated.
It's very complicated. The other danger with that is sometimes people can move someone in really quick, or put someone in their children's lives really quick, and the child really likes them and bonds with them.
Yeah.
But the relationship is weak and fragile, and they go, and then the child's like, well, I just keep losing adults here.
Oh, that's another one.
God.
Yes, that's another aspect.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't introduce boyfriends, girlfriends supposedly until it's really sure, so they don't have that going on.
Because if they do connect, that's because a step parent should be an addition. You know, you have your two parents, and here's another adult who's going to take care of you and love you and nurture you.
And what happens if your ex-partner gets a partner that you don't like, and now they're living and educating your child?
Yeah, it can get
that
so
has to
messy.
be another aspect as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
So I saw something. This probably doesn't land very well, but
Nothing you say.
you wouldn't expect.
I think that's why I'm here, though, mate.
You're our stirrer.
I did see something, and obviously it was social media based, so I haven't fact checked it. So, you know, but it said the #1 correlation to child abuse isn't alcohol, isn't drugs, it's a step parent.
Right.
I think there could be as well a lot of resentment from a step parent that if they want to move on.
Like, call me out on it. I don't know.
Well,
I don't care.
I can see it.
And
I've got no
control
flag in the
sort of
sand.
aspect.
I just, like, it kind of made me go, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that, and I guess it's like what kind of. I mean, my parents both ended up with very toxic people. It was terrible. I couldn't believe it. My
You
dad
were in the
just
middle
kept
of
going.
4 interesting people.
My dad just kept going for redheads. I was like,
Right.
And then my mum, you know, she was very ill, as we've discussed, and then she got with someone who was also very ill. That, you know, that was a way for them to relate to something. You know, they had this commonality that their future might not be bright.
Right.
But then, you know, as kids, we just had someone who was like really, well, 2 people that were really unstable coming into the families. And our parents were, they didn't really pay attention to anything. And my brother, you know, he had a really hard time as a teenager, and I was a bit lost. And I totally relate to all this. And with my daughter, I'm just single parent family. The man who put the baby in my tummy, which is how I describe it to Nyla, not her dad, you know, he's not involved at all.
Yeah.
And so bringing someone in new for her is a challenge. At the moment, she just wants her dad to throw her up in the air because she's so tall, I can't do it. But, you know, but...
It's funny to see the role of a parent can be just for a child as simple as someone just to throw me up in the pool. And
Yeah.
Swimming time, we have to go swimming, strong man in.
She's so tall, I ain't going to be able to do it.
The interesting thing there, going back to what you were saying, and within my practice with clients, you wouldn't believe how many 50 plus adults come in and attribute all of their problems back to the separation of their parents when they were kids. And it's not necessarily about the separation, it is the step family. I didn't belong here. I don't feel like I belong here. I was treated differently in this family. So my stepmom wasn't that nice. She was clearly nicer to her own kids, or stepdad, whichever way around it is. So there is this, and I think it's a very difficult thing for people to not end up doing that. But there was this thing in the 90s where it's like, oh, your mum and dad got divorced when you were a kid, so now you're like this. Well, boo-hoo. But it has actually, it's changed, and people are like, this causes a whole load of trauma in kids because there's suddenly this, well, you just have to sit at the table and treat this person with respect and listen to everything
your new brothers
they
and
say.
sisters,
or
whatever.
Absolutely, and none of those or those things that parents say to their kids sticks with people for decades to come and has an effect on all of their relationships and all of their behaviours. It's fascinating.
And maybe the parents siding with the step parent as well, where there's some kind of disagreement and actually the child needs support. I've definitely been in that.
And you
one
can
as
see
well.
that the hard position for the parent, you want or need the new partner.
Messy, isn't it?
It is messy.
It can be messy.
It can be very messy.
Get a dog instead.
Keep your legs closed.
But there's 2, like you were talking about, people that can't be alone. You know, I've seen that with friends who that, you know, they just cannot be alone, so they are in relationship after relationship, and there are kids involved, and it's like, you know, they're trying their best. They can't do better.
Darling, you can't judge anyone because no one's doing it wrong.
No.
Everyone's just doing the best they can.
Mine's the opposite. I can't bring someone in.
No, they're not.
Well, you might have a point there, but that's also where you get open to abuse.
Yeah.
Because if the parent has some issues, let's say, trying to be polite, they don't want to be on their own, this and that and the other, generally you might invite someone into your life who's a little bit toxic, and you'll overlook a lot of stuff, just like you would do normally. Except there are children involved
it's
now.
Patterns, isn't it?
Yeah. And then it can be like, well, I'll overlook it because they'll leave and then I'm just left with the kids. And this has already happened. So it's why it's essential, if you're going to do this, go to therapy, get past the other relationship and what happened, choose wisely your partner, integrate them slowly, and give the space for the kids. And it has to be age appropriate, you know. So you could say younger kids would be easier, but they might have more emotional fallout, which they need more support with. Teenagers, depending on their age, can be a bit more like, yes, mum's new boyfriend, he's cool.
Oh, really?
Easy.
I thought you were going to go the other way.
I think it can go either way.
It can go either way, that's what I mean. There's no kind of like standard to it. So you have to look at each individual situation, but not force your expectations or let your fears then dictate you being authoritarian to your kids. You have to accept this instead of understanding them, you know, because there's, well, am I betraying my other parent? If I like my stepdad, won't dad be upset? And, you know, helping them through that. simple stuff like that, you know. So
it comes down to respect for the authority person of space of your child. Try dialogue. And not be dictatorial. Dictatorial.
But also you can be, if you are a step parent, it's an opportunity for, like I say, for you to be an addition, an emotional support. You can also help if you have got your stuff sorted out. You don't need to be threatened by the other parent. It's like, no, I'm here. You got 2 dads, you got 2 mums, you know. But this is your first one. I'm here as a backup.
And I think if you get together with someone who already has kids, just take it already knowing they might accept you and they might not.
Yeah.
End of story.
And it's I think the therapy, the working through it, the talking is so important. I mean, the kids need the conversation, they need the repair talks, they need all of that stuff.
Exactly.
But it needs to be like a constant conversation. And then between the 2 families, the 2 extended families, you know.
Kids aren't accessories, they're not toys, they're not decoration.
I think
my
it's
son
time.
said when he was young, maybe younger than this person he was talking about, and he may have less information, but that other person wasn't smarter, and it really brought it home. He may be older than me, he may have more information than me, but he thinks he's smarter than me and he's not. And I was like, well said. You know, we have to respect them.
For me, there's a lot of similarities with dog stuff. Like people get a dog and then bring in another dog, not realising that the first dog has no choice. They have to live with each other 24 hours a day. Like there's no separate, all of these things. Every time you get a new dog, you have to distribute your time between them separately because there's routine change, there's tension, there's all of these things. And actually, if you take your time, when you get into a new relationship, you don't know whether it's going to work out. You've got to spend some time with that person. Like, just take the time.
Take your time,
absolutely,
and be thoughtful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
A good topic.
I love this. For my daughter. I mean, I'm the opposite. Mate. I'm like, there's no one coming in, and sorry, Nyla, there's no one coming. It's just you and me.
It could be wise to do that, and it's
until she's like, Mummy, find somebody. She did the other day. Mummy, why haven't you married anybody? And I was like, maybe.
You've been living out of the house for 15 years.
I was like, they have to be very good though. Like, we have to be careful who we're choosing to bring in the house. That kind
absolutely.
of have that.
And one thing I'd say is, if you find a new partner and you want them to be the step parent, align your parenting viewpoints. First of all, get your stuff sorted as a couple. Are you both on the same page? Are you undermining each other? Are you, because if you have a partner living with you, they're contributing to the house, but they can't discipline the kids, they're not allowed to comfort them when they're upset, things like that. There's always going to be this separation. So you need to get
the roles.
Absolutely, and your parenting styles aligned first. Have those discussions, it's
well said.
Yeah, really good.
This segment is brought to you by Clear Vision Psychotherapy.
I worked in road traffic safety for over 20 years, and I'm always very interested to see things that are coming up and obviously all the fines that we can be getting. We've talked in the past how important it is to wear a seatbelt to keep yourself well in the seat, because it's the slack, it's that moving backwards and sudden forwards that actually is the most dangerous. So very important to wear your seatbelt. We've also mentioned that when you get into a car when you've been shopping, if you put your handbag or put your shopping in the back, if you've got a 4-door car, while you're then going in to drive, people actually might steal your shopping.
Yes, it happens.
From the car. This is an amazing thing, but people do this. They're just waiting for that moment and they take things for a car. Well, now, putting all those things together, you can get fined €200 if you put your shopping in the back seat of the car, and you don't fix it so it can't go flying. So based on this, that if there's a loose object in the car and you brake suddenly, anything that's not strapped in will carry on travelling at the same force and can be dangerous. Therefore, dogs should be tied up. You shouldn't have things around.
A 35-kilo dog is
strap
different
in your cornflakes.
But now they're saying
strap in your cornflakes.
Exactly. So ludicrous, no, as they would say in Spanish, lo siguiente, it's 1+. But now, if they want to, obviously, every policeman is unto himself. But by law, if they see that you have shopping that is just flying around or could fly around in the car, for a €200 fine.
I mean, sometimes I've done that because I don't want
I always
my food
do that.
to ruin.
It's
Do you,
Always.
you strap it in?
And I know.
Oh, you don't?
Never. And I know this.
No,
I
I
worked
do
in road
sometimes.
traffic safety.
It makes complete
but now we could
sense when
be
you think
fined.
about
Yes.
it. It depends what
Yeah.
you bought. What if you've got
Yeah.
a takeaway McDonald's or something, and
I
that's,
don't
you've
know.
got like a Big
Yeah.
Mac flying around?
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
back.
We don't need
A killer
two
Big Mac.
facetious young men on the couch.
Good hint.
Just be
Good
warned,
hint.
if they want to get money and they're looking for extra money,
Yeah, well, that's
that
it.
is one of the ways that they can
that's
get
their
you.
way of going,
Yeah.
right,
But
well,
it's
you've
not
got
wrong.
everything in line.
But it's not wrong. It can be very dangerous. You know, if the car stops
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
things go
If you've
flying.
been to IKEA, absolutely.
If you've bought lots of soup or baked beans,
Yeah, come on.
cans, big
Yeah.
big bottles of
No, it makes
Coke,
complete
heavy
sense, but I'd
things
never
will
thought about it.
increase weight exponentially. This is very true. I worked in road safety and it really is true.
Yeah.
But it does seem now strapping in our cornflakes is like, well, here we are.
I just do it because I don't want to bash my bananas. You know, I don't want bruised bananas.
I know the problem.
And we'll leave that there. Linear Director has come up with a squatter policy for just €24 a year. You don't have to have your home insurance with them. This is a completely separate matter to protect you from squatters. For more information, call 952 147834 or their website, lineardirector.com. Neil, good morning.
Good morning.
You're going to
How
get
are
us
you?
some
Good
money
morning,
today.
everyone.
This
Good
is
morning.
nice. We're going to be looking at legal aid
Yes.
options,
Yes.
which I think is nice
How
because
to get it. Yeah.
you never know when you might need a little bit of guidance.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we always say, don't we be prepared? But in cases of when you might need legal help, you can't be prepared. You don't know when it's
You
going to
don't
be
need
happening.
it.
One of the most common comments that we get in our post bag and you see on social media is, I can't afford a lawyer. I don't know where to get help to get a lawyer. And what I wanted to do today, I want to talk a little bit about drawing people's attention to a recognised legal aid system here in Spain for certain categories of person and people on lower incomes. That's what we want to talk about. All right?
Yeah, that's good because unfortunately there are a lot of expats here on lower incomes, just on a pension,
Yeah.
or people who came over in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Do you know what I mean? Like in the way we used to be able to come over, just set up, see how it
Yeah.
goes, kind of thing. And we do have an increasing, I
people
think,
have this great-
vulnerable community.
People have this great fear that lawyers are really, really expensive, and particularly if you come from the United States or something like that. Everyone's like terrified. We'll come back to that in a minute. But generally, paid legal help in Spain is cheaper than, say, Northern European countries, or certainly cheaper than the United States. So don't let's put people off our very good lawyers down here. But there is something here that if you think that you might need to take someone to court, or you've had a court summons yourself, or you're threatened with a court summons, there is something here that's actually a part of the linked Spanish Constitution called, it's legal aid. It's called the Servicio de Orientación Jurídica. So it's SOJ. And what that actually says is if you are on a particularly low income, and we'll come back to that in a minute, and it is people on quite low incomes, and also in certain categories of case, you're entitled before a trial to go and get guidance and get assessment of what your case is. I think it's quite important because a lot of people might be quite frightened, I can't afford a lawyer, okay? So it's called the SOJ, Servicio de Orientación Jurídica, okay? The several categories that you're entitled to free support are if it's linked to gender violence and
They're quite
ill
good
treatment
with
like that.
things like that in
Yeah.
Spain,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah.
They're quite up on it.
Yeah, we'll talk
Unfortunately,
a
it's quite a
little
big
bit
thing.
about
But
more.
Yeah, exactly.
Gender violence. If there's been threats against children,
Okay.
children involved, terrorism, hopefully there's not many of those cases involved as well. And also if you need to defend your employment rights. So something's going wrong at work and you feel that you're being abused at work. They are categories where you're automatically entitled to free support. So you should
they're very good systems.
you should be
for
aware
those.
of that
Yeah.
if things are going through your head about these different issues. Or
They
like
do. They
that.
even have like certain departments, don't they, for the laboral, work-related things that
Yeah.
you can go and they give you. They're very
Yeah.
good in that respect.
So they're the four
It's
kind of
really,
categories.
sorry, I just
included.
want to
Yeah.
comment on that.
Yeah.
It's really important, particularly with gender violence, because so many people, normally women, although I appreciate it's not always women, but feel trapped in a situation like that and feel
Absolutely.
like they've got
Absolutely.
no support, no help, no way of
Absolutely.
getting themselves out of that situation. So for them to know that the support is
Yeah.
out
So
there
that's
is vital.
The government, the state says you can have free legal support, and it doesn't necessarily mean you go to court, but at least you can have an initial conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
With a duty lawyer who can kind of compartmentalize and maybe simplify your case and things like that. So in summary, it's called the SOJ. If you want a bit more information on it, you can put in Google or another search engine, SOJ support in Spain, and some good explanations that come up, SOJ support in Spain, that will come up. So those 4 categories you're entitled to for free. If your income is particularly low, and we were talking about this before we came on, aren't we? And it is, you have to be on quite a low income. So the official figures are saying if you're a single person, you can't be earning more than $1,400 a month. And if you're a couple or a family of 3, it's about 1,750 euros a month. Actually, that's quite a lot for a lot of pensioners here. Okay, so more people who think might fall into that category. So people who are on the lower end of that scale, they do look at your assets. So if you've got a huge bank balance, or you've got lots of jewelry, or you've got lots of cars and things, they look at something like that.
Yeah, don't appear as one of these things wearing your huge rings and Rolex watches, because that, you know, they will look at you.
Remember, I'm not talking about gender violence, violence against children and things. They're free, but this is for other people in other situations. It's not a service just to go and say, well, someone parks in my drive every morning and I can't get them to move my car. It's if you think that you're going to have to go take someone to court. Okay.
It really is very. It's very interesting to know.
It's very organised. This isn't something. Sometimes in Spain, sort of services and things are hidden under stones, and you find them by accident. This is a proper kind of service, and where you go about to, it's actually run by, they call them the Colegios de Abogados, and they're like the law society or the bar society in Spain. And each province has its own association, and they have offices within all the law courts where this SOJ takes place. There's this guidance service. So what you need to do is you need to, again, go onto SOJ support in Spain to get more information, but you need to get in touch and go and see them, and they will give you an appointment. Again, the law says priority needs to be given to issues of gender violence and child violence. So you shouldn't need to wait for an appointment for that. Go and see them. And when you go and see them, take details of the case you're thinking about, but also take samples of your pay slips, if you've done a tax return or things, just to prove that your income
bank balances,
is below, in the cases where the cases we haven't talked about.
And another thing just quickly to add is, which is very effective in Spain, takes a very long time, is the denuncia. So it's a good one just to take into consideration. If something's happening,
absolutely,
go to the local police station, make a denuncia, which is like basically you're just stating it, and they normally do follow up. Can take years, but it actually is quite effective.
So it's an official complaint kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you made a complaint, and it gives you a bit of extra. It's not essential because you might not want to. It's issue gender violence. What we're talking about.
No, but not in those respects. But if you've got issues in general issues, and the good thing is then sometimes that helps you if you're then going to ask for legal aid or things, you've got your backup. Of I have complained about this before. This is an ongoing.
Absolutely.
So it's a good way of registering your position.
A few more points linked to that. They do say that you can only see you in Spanish. If you go to court in Spain, you're actually in a court. By law, you have to have a translator. And all the kind of preparation stuff. If you ring up these bar and law societies to get your point, they say you really need to do it in Spanish. In reality, many speak English, but I'd recommend anyone to take a Spanish speaker with them just for the basics.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up the opportunity.
No, and it's always a good skill in Spain, even if you don't speak and you're not going to learn the language, to have a special friend who you know speaks Spanish. So someone you know from the shop.
Use people that we know.
Yeah, use people you know, so a relative or a friend.
Friendships to get a Spanish speaker.
Well, have someone lined up that you can take with you in circumstances. 2 final quick points. We talked a bit about gender violence and also violence against children. If you're a bit scared about going to see a lawyer or something like that, it's a bit scary, it shouldn't be, but it is. 016 is the telephone number across Spain to dial for anyone affected by gender violence for confidential support, and they will be able to tell you also what's local that might not be quite as scary as a lawyer, but it might be a centre to help support. So 016, and there's a WhatsApp number 600 000 016. So there are other channels, just
That's
WhatsApp.
Good.
There are channels if you're a bit worried about your personal situation. It's obviously all in confidence, and maybe they can help guide you towards a lawyer. And finally, there is a fantastic charity that's very closely linked to the government called ANAR, A-N-A-R, and that has, like in the UK, you're used to Childline, and it has a phone number for mums and dads and guardians and friends to ring up as well and talk about children. And they can generally, maybe not on the first call, but they can arrange for someone to talk in English as well. 016 talks English for women as well. They do languages. So ANAR is very good if people are worried, or a young person or a child or a teenager is worried about themselves. They can look that up. very great people, very caring people as well.
Wonderful. There's
Right.
some great systems out there. It's
There
just
is help.
knowing that where it is and
You're
how to
not
get
alone.
it.
You are
Thank
not
you.
alone.
There is support in Spain. Did you know that the April Fair is not only celebrated in Seville? Ciudad Real also catches the flamenco spirit, while Elche organises its Andalusian fair with all the art and joy of Andalusia. Each city adds its own touch, so you can experience this great springtime festival in different corners of Spain.
Hello and good morning, Spain. Today we're going to be making judías verde con jamón serrano, green beans and serrano ham. Really easy one this, but got some nice touches you can do at the end, but an absolute classic. So I've got some lovely green beans here. I'm just going to top and tail them. I've got one pot on with some salted water in it. Another pan on medium to high heat, and that's where I'm going to crispen up my serrano ham. So nice even tops and tails here. Just going to fly through these and then we can get cracking. Just switch and give them the old tap down and it all should fall down to the bottom. Top and tail there. And they're ready to go. So I just want to keep that pot of water boiling because this is going to be super quick once we've got our base made. So pan's on, I've got a nice half an onion here, so I want to do some really finely slices if I can. Take your time, just let the knife do the work. We want these to be wafer thin. This will take less time to cook and this will help everything taste better. Once I'm over halfway down, just pushing that onion over and starting the process again. Checking that pan's hot enough, just a little bit of onion in. Hear that sizzle. Let's break up this onion as we put it in. That's really going to help things go along. A couple of slices of garlic here. Again, same thing, just really, really thin. Take your time, let the knife do the work. These are going to become melted bits of garlic later on when we're finished. Garlic can go in as well. Let's season very, very little amount of salt because the serrano ham is salty. Salt and pepper in, that's really going to help flavours. And let's move these onions around. We want to cook these out a bit. Turn this heat up a bit, let's get cooking. Let's give this a couple of minutes, just really try and cook these onions out until they're nice and soft. So our onions are nicely sweated off, just starting to get a bit of colour. Just going to push them all to the one side and get my nice pieces of serrano ham that I've sliced up. Cheaper the better with this. Now we want to move that serrano ham out. We're going to get this wonderful oil that comes off it, and that's going to be sucked up by the onions. Just moving this around. So this will be really quick. We're going to put the green beans in. They're not going to take long. Take them straight out of the boiling water into our pan, give them a toss, and they're ready to go. I'm just going to do a couple of finishing touches with this. Some segmented orange is just a really nice touch at the end of this. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Just top and tail your orange. Go quite hefty with the top and tail cut so that it shows the whole orange. Then we're going to go cutting round and down, trying to take all the white. So we're left with this beautifully peeled orange, and we can see the natural lines where the segments would be. So I'm just going to run the knife down one of the lines and then down the other side, and then we're left with this beautiful segment. Then for the following ones, all I have to do is go down the line and move the knife along, and it should pop out like so. If you don't like that, you can just go following the lines down each one, and you can see the natural line of the orange. These little segments, because they've got nothing to them, they just melt in your mouth, and they just add a little bit of citrus to the end of this dish. So we can incorporate everything in here, moving the onions together, the Serrano ham starting to get nice and crispy. So let's go with our green beans. Just going to spread these around in the pot. They're not going to take long, a couple of minutes, and we're ready to go. So meantime, let's do our final touches to our onions. Make sure everything's nice and mixed together. Beautiful, turn that heat off. Now, keeping an eye on our green beans, bearing in mind this is personal preference. So if you like them a little bit crunchy, take them out early. If you want them really soft, leave them in there a little bit longer. Okay, we are ready to go now. So I've got some final touches for you. I've got some chopped chives that I've just cut into little strands. I'm just going to add them in. It's just going to give some great last minute flavour. Adding in our green beans now. You could drain these off. I'm just doing this with tongs here just because it's easier to show you. Got these lovely bits of Serrano ham. This is going to be a good one. Okay, so let's give this a little bit of extra seasoning, a little mix around, make sure everything's incorporated nicely. Turn up the heat a bit, just give that a chance to cook out those little bits of chives. We've got the pieces of orange that we've used for our segments, so I'm just going to give that a little squeeze in. That's just going to create a little bit of moisture amongst everything. Topping up with a bit of pepper here. Easy on the salt because we know the Serrano ham's going to be salty. Some lovely chives. And we are ready to plate up. Great side dish this, and a great tapper in its own right. Really good for using up those bits of Serrano ham. Finishing it off there. Lovely. So let's take a couple of these orange segments and just dot them over like this. Finish this off. A little bit of rocket. Some good rock salt. That is my green beans and Serrano ham. Let's get into this. Get a bit of everything. Such a good combination. I know the orange sounds weird, but it just really works. It's one of those ones you've just got to try. Thank you very much, and good morning.
This segment is sponsored by the School of Canine Science.
Nando, fetch.
I should have seen that.
Does it work like that? Fetch.
Very obedient.
How well is my training?
He hasn't moved.
Yeah, it's the same with him as well. You speak, it means nothing. Should we play fetch with our dogs?
Well, do you know what? There was ridiculously, it probably wasn't in your social media stratosphere, but in mine, there was a massive debate as to whether you should play fetch or not with your dogs.
Fetch at all. So I was
Fetch
thinking
at
about
all.
sticks.
Right.
Yeah, throwing
Well,
a stick
sticks is
and...
really important. We'll come back to
Yeah.
that. That's really, really important. But there was a whole thing about should you play fetch with your dog, and are you making them into this fetch addict, and are there better outlets? And
I've never even thought that was an issue.
oh god, dog trainers are a funny bunch, I can tell you that. But yeah, but if your dog likes to play fetch, play fetch. It's no big deal. But don't if the dog is also highly aroused very easily, and they get themselves into trouble, then don't wind them up too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
But what need is it fulfilling for the dog psychologically, fetching?
well, it kind of depends.
What's going on in
Fun, no?
its head?
I always thought it'd just be fun
Well, yeah.
But cats don't do it, so why is a dog doing it?
because they're not cats.
Yeah. Rhinos don't
So there's
do
something
it either.
going on in a dog that makes it want to do
A
that.
working
Yeah.
dog.
Historically, through ancient times, I
You're
don't know.
absolutely well. Not even that far back, but the last couple of 100 years, we've basically selectively bred animals to perform jobs for us. Nowadays, a lot of those jobs are no longer used.
Yeah.
But we have dogs that are literally called retrievers. Like,
Oh,
they
yes.
are dogs that get something and
Fetchers.
bring it back. Right?
Yeah, okay.
So for many of those dogs, you're actually fulfilling a hardwired genetic predisposition. So you're giving them the opportunity. And dogs the breeds do differ. Like when I come home, if the dogs are super excited, if you've got a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, you'll see one of the first things they do is they'll go and pick something up
Yeah.
and they'll bring it to you.
Yeah, my dog does that.
Like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh look, because everything in their genetics is saying, I've got to have something and bring it to them.
Yeah.
Like,
Isn't that curious?
Yeah.
and
You
it's
know how the genes, it's inbred of
totally
those
bred in them.
traits.
Yeah. But the thing is this is one of the most important things. I always bang on about picking the right dog. And if you pick a dog that's got a genetic predisposition to herd sheep, and you've got 6 kids running around the house, your
Yes.
dog is going to go, my job is to round these lot up.
Yeah, and that can have serious,
my
more
God.
serious consequences
Yeah,
for
it
some
does.
types of dogs, obviously.
Yeah, they nip at their heels.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You know, and often we end up telling the dogs off for what they're bred to do. Like we go back to the retrievers. When they're babies, at 6 weeks old, they'll pick something up. And of course, when they go into a new home, you go, no, not that, not that.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, right. And
Yeah.
either they get told off and there's this conflict with everything in my body is telling me to pick stuff up. But every time I do, you tell me off. Or you end up playing this game where they go, oh, I'm meant to pick stuff up and get chased.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Right, and we end up teaching dogs to fetch the wrong things. Like they come in, they bring you a toy, and you're like, Coronation Street's on.
Yeah.
Good Morning Spain's on. And,
course.
and you ignore the dog.
Yeah.
But if they pick up the TV remote, all of a sudden everybody in the house is like, come here.
Yeah.
Like, and they go, oh, right, so when I want attention, I get that.
Actually, I would think, based on what you're comment, there's more similarity between dogs and people than cats and dogs. Because everything we say, you can hear it, it's like people act kind of the same, and cats are so indifferent.
Yeah,
They're just,
cats don't care.
they're just so indifferent, they just so don't care. But dogs do care. And they have they need more social approval kind of thing.
Again, it depends on the breed. You've got dogs that don't care as well. They're more like cats. But the one thing I will say about fetch is sticks. You've got to be careful when you're throwing sticks. So throwing sticks, it doesn't happen very often, but it can happen where the stick will stick into the ground, and as the dog runs up on
I know. Oh, there's a bit on the stick the dog hasn't seen, and it
Yeah,
goes
the
into
little-
its
the
mouth
little
like a
bit.
fish hook or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about that many
So-
times. And prepare the stick well.
Yeah, find a good one.
We just get a toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a toy and you avoid
A
the
toy stick and you avoid the problem.
Yeah.
Right, you
Well,
avoid
because
the problem.
some of them like to chew the stick down, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's
so
not
if
very
they're,
good,
if
is
they're
it?
Has
just,
splinters
well,
or
it depends.
kinds of
It kind of depends. It's a natural foraging
Yeah, okay.
thing. it can be all right for their teeth, but then you get others that
Eat
take
it.
it too far.
Yeah.
They start eating the bark.
Yeah.
And it was only a couple of weeks ago that my dog was running around the garden and scratching at his face, which then caused all the other dogs to go, "What are you doing? Like, what's the problem?"
Yeah.
And he was really panicking.
Oh.
And I had to go and get him, open his mouth, and I realised he's got a piece of stick stuck between two teeth at the back of the roof of
bless
his
him.
mouth.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
And you can
Get
see
a
that happening.
spoon.
Yeah.
Oh my
and hook
word.
it out.
But
But he was panicking. It was like
No wonder.
So
Yeah,
good you
so-
were there, like it was your dog, because someone else would just not even understand.
You wouldn't
what's
understand
going
what
on.
was
yeah,
going
you end
on.
up going to the vet,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
actually they just go, "Oh right."
And
that's
if you
it."
want to understand, go to the vet.
yeah, absolutely.
Any doubt,
absolutely.
just go to the vet and
And check its mouth then as well.
Yeah.
like,
Check the
get
mouth.
it
Pause.
If
open.
there is something in the mouth, don't stick your fingers in, because when a stressed dog will bite you.
Yeah.
So get a spoon, get a wooden spoon, something like that, and just hook it out, and you'll be all right.
So I
Thank you,
don't have a
Nando.
dog, but if you have
I'll
to
get you
walk
one.
someone else's dog, you should ask what the fetch policy is first.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause you-
I like
or-
that.
Oh, that,
I
yeah.
like that. The
He's a
fetch
good.
policy.
Does it?
What's your
Policy.
fetch policy?
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking about that now.
Yeah.
Mine just, you
Does it-
throw it and he
yeah.
runs for it, he picks it up, he won't bring it back.
Because you
He
keep
will,
throwing it
he will,
away.
he will get
She obviously doesn't want it. She keeps throwing it away.
he will get his toy. When you come home, he'll go and get his toy, and he'll bring it to you. But the ball thing doesn't work with him.
So yeah,
Each
that
one's
can
a
be
world
about
to
training.
themselves.
That can be about
Yeah,
training. But,
I mean-
but
Dog
yeah.
trainer.
I'll let him be.
Yeah, if you're
Get
happy
yourself a
with it, then
psychologist,
that's
get yourself
it.
a dog
Need-
trainer.
Yeah, I don't need the ball. It's
Yeah.
okay, you know.
Awesome. Things to be taken into consideration.
Very interesting.
And I love that. Neil was, what's your
Your
fetch
fetch
policy?
policy.
I love that.
Yeah, I think also what's their food
But I
policy
think it's quite
about
important.
treats.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
it is
you do
important.
something terrible to someone else's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Make a-
often thought that when I've thrown a stick at someone else's or someone else's
Yeah,
dog.
yeah.
I thought this might not go very well.
Yeah.
Make my day. Make my day.
Experience the three pillars of flamenco: song, guitar, and dance. From its origins in the 18th century to its UNESCO recognition in 2010, and still today, flamenco continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Linea Directa appreciates just how important our pets are to us, and that's why they brought out one of the most comprehensive insurance policies on the market, from just €39.90 a year. Give them a call on 952 147834 or from the website lineadirecta.com.
Make my day. Make my day.
Following on from last week, talking about some of the best-selling non-fiction books currently, I thought this week I'd look at some of the novels that are currently in the bestseller charts. Three very different ones, as usual. Marble Hall Murders by Anthony Horowitz. Now, he's a prolific English novelist and screenwriter, specialising in mystery and suspense. His works for children and young adult readers include the Alex Rider series, featuring a 14-year-old British boy who spies for MI6. He was asked by the estates of both Ian Fleming and Arthur Conan Doyle to write novels following on from the James Bond and Sherlock Holmes stories, which is a pretty big deal. So Marble Hall Murders is book 3 in the Susan Ryland series. She is an editor who has left her Greek island, her hotel, and her Greek boyfriend Andreas in search of a new life in England. She's asked to work on a continuation novel by young author Elliot Crace. Elliot is the grandson of one of the most well-known children's authors ever, Marianne Crace, who died some 15 years previously, and Elliot is sure that she was poisoned. Elliot's behaviour becomes increasingly erratic as his alcohol and gambling addictions increase, but when he is killed in a hit-and-run accident, Susan realises that she is suspected of his murder. Then we have Swept Away by Beth O'Leary. This is a romantic novel where two strangers find themselves stranded at sea together. Zeke and Lexi thought it would be just a night of fun. They had no intentions of seeing each other again. Zeke is only in town for the weekend to buy back his late father's houseboat, and Lexi has no time for dating when she needs to help take care of her best friend's daughter. Going back home with a stranger seems like a perfect escape from their problems, but a miscommunication in the dark, foggy night means that no one tied the houseboat to the dock. The next morning, Zeke and Lexi realise all they can see is miles and miles of water. With just a few provisions on the idle boat, they must figure out how to get back home. But aside from their survival, they're facing another challenge, because when you're stuck together for days on end, it gives you a lot of time to get to know someone and to fall in love with them. And finally, Conclave by Robert Harris is back in the bestseller charts. This book actually came out in 2016 and was made into an award-winning film last year, starring Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow and Isabella Rossellini. A conclave is a gathering of the College of Cardinals convened to elect a new pope. It is the oldest historical method of electing a particular head of state that remains in use to the present day. Obviously, it's back in the charts after the recent passing of Pope Francis. The book's blurb actually says, "The Pope is dead." Behind the locked doors of the Sistine Chapel, 118 cardinals from all over the globe will cast their votes in the world's most secretive election. They are holy men, but they have ambition and they have rivals. Over the next 72 hours, one of them will become the most powerful spiritual figure on earth. I'm sure you can appreciate why people are wanting to read this now, as even though this story is fictional, it's very timely. So, which one do you fancy?
Wow! They all have something, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
The Pope one, you're thinking of the list of the popes for me, and they have the list of all the different popes, and apparently the one who just passed was the last one. So it'll be interesting to see.
It's fast. I mean, this is literally going on right now. A conclave is happening now. They're all getting together.
Waiting for the white or black smoke or grey smoke.
Wow!
There was a list of popes. Is that how it
Apparently,
works?
there's a list of popes, which is something that's come up that I've seen based on the Pope passing. And apparently, God knows how many centuries ago, this guy wrote a list of the popes. And this one we have now was we had until now.
Next one will be AI, so don't worry about
again,
that.
but it's these things that but I love to listen to all the different things that are going on.
Yeah.
So with this book like this, I would then read that, and then I'd read the other bits as well.
The first one, I mean, if he got commissioned to do anything to do with James Bond, I'm in.
Yeah,
exactly.
I used to love the Alex Rider when I was younger.
Oh, did you?
Love them,
Oh,
yeah.
there you go, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. I've interviewed a few authors who have been asked to write continuation novels. When people die, you know, people still want to read their material.
Yeah.
So often their estate and, you know, their family members want to find an author who can carry on writing books in their name.
Yeah.
So the person who's died has the biggest name on the cover generally. And then, you know, a smaller name.
It's a
the
curious
small
one.
print somewhere.
It's curious, isn't it?
I didn't know that was a thing
Oh,
either.
definitely.
I'm learning loads this morning.
Definitely.
I thought, because your face when Hannah was saying about the couple falling in love
Yeah.
while lost at sea, and Nando, I can see in his face is like, yeah.
Lost at sea.
And you could just see each other's
Can you
throats.
imagine? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Be
food,
like
you
that.
don't know each
stuck
other.
on a small houseboat when you drop someone.
I mean, his face said it all, as you were like, and falling in love with them. Yeah.
I love the idea of that one. I think it's all nice and fluffy.
Yeah, sweet. Nice
Fiction,
little story.
reality. Is that the fiction or non-fiction?
Yes.
No, they sound
love
quite good.
them.
I can't. That must be terrifying, being lost at sea on a houseboat.
I'd be honestly, as you say, waking up
It's
and
like
just seeing.
every angle is like
Yeah.
which way's ahead.
Yeah. And being stuck with someone like that, you would go one or two ways.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
would fall in love or kill them.
Yeah.
You. I mean,
Yeah.
they're your options, basically.
For sustenance.
Not much
Crazy.
in between. Yeah.
Yeah.
Human reaction. One or the other.
I'm going to limit myself, hopefully, to just hearing about reading the books. We hope you found the programme informative and fun. You can watch recordings of the show directly from our website, goodmorningspain.com, with links also to our social media and our YouTube channel. We love having you along with us. Have yourselves a great week. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.